This is Bill McMinn from Eagleville Bible Church, and this is the Way to Go podcast, where we talk about faith, family, and daily life, putting the Bible into practical, everyday terms. Welcome to the Way to Go podcast, back after an 8-month hiatus, I think it has been, actually. So last May. So whatever May is, to almost February. That's it. I did not intend to take this big of a break, yet here we are.
See, podcasts and YouTube videos are a form of art, and you can't rush art.
How could you even argue with that? You know what I'm saying? We're like verbal artists right now.
I mean, we always take a break during the summer, though.
Yeah, we do.
Typically.
Yeah.
And it just
not almost to the next summer.
Yeah,
That's all. No, it's been a while, so there's a lot we can talk about. I want to talk about Philippians chapter 1 a little bit. Actually, Philippians chapter 2, starting with verse 1. Here you go. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, does this describe you, Eric, right now? Just full of tenderness and compassion and
tender, very tender.
Very, yeah, I bet. Appeal to unity is in verse 2. Then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. So you got to be together. That's the first thing. I mean, that's what I take from that anyway. So have the same love, being in one in spirit, one in mind. So teamwork. When you think of teamwork, what do you think? Because when I think of like football teams, so we're coming down to, or you can even think of basketball, like the Cavs. I've not heard of per se star players on the team. I'm sure they do. I mean, they're 36-6 or something. Yeah. Last I heard, something like that.
They had several different winning streaks. 10 games.
Yeah, I mean they're obviously haven't had a lot of losing streaks.
Yeah, actually,
when you've only lost 6 games out of 40-some. I would have to assume, since I'm not a big basketball. I will get into basketball when they're in the playoffs. That's when I'll start paying attention, actually. So it's not like football where I follow it all year long, but I'd have to assume they're playing as a team.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you don't have a LeBron James or a Steph Curry, which I was talking to some people and asking them about that, like, do they have that kind of star? From what I heard, maybe they do. From what I heard, they not per se.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Right. Well, if they did, we would be able to tell you.
Yeah, true,
even
true.
Yeah. We're not. You know what? We're non-essential fans. That's who we are.
Exactly.
We're non-essential. We're not really needed. We don't pay attention. But even we would know if there was an epic star on the team. So I think the whole team is made up of guys who work together.
And on the flip side, you see the Browns' record this year.
Oh, they won 3 games.
It's dismal, right? And so you see, I mean, they got different quarterbacks every couple weeks,
right?
And I mean, so as far as like unity goes, I think about like being on the same page, and so often they're not, and it's evidenced by the receiver cuts one way, but the ball goes the other way,
right?
Well, there's a communication breakdown, but like, okay, if it's a fluke thing, but when it continues to happen, like you guys are not even working together,
right?
It's not that you're working against each other, but like we're not on the same page if we're making different cuts versus what was called.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
The Philadelphia Eagles, not this past year, the year before, they went 10-1. They lost 6 out of the last 7 games. And a lot of that was they were not playing together as a team. I mean, there were a lot of chemistry issues and whatnot. They got mopped up by almost everyone they played. And because they were 10-1 before they went on their like 6-7 game skid, they still made the playoffs, but they got obliterated by the Buccaneers in the first round because they just weren't playing as a team. Now this year they're in the championship game. Hopefully they'll win. The Commanders also a very good team. So they're playing way more together, way more camaraderie, way more. It makes all the difference in the world. So when you think about teamwork, let's say it's for youth leaders or whatever team it is. I mean, what do you think of when you think of that? Like, yeah, play as a team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, do we all have the same goal in mind?
All right.
Let's start there.
That's a good one.
I mean, everyone might have different like reasons as to why they want to serve and be a part of this and give back, whatever. But do we all have the same like common denominator, same common goal of what we're trying to accomplish? Let's start there. I think that's like a big, the bottom of the iceberg, and then whatever it is at the top, your reason why or something.
Right.
But like, are we all trying to go for the same thing here? Good. We'll need that. That's the base of like teamwork and unity as far as that goes.
Oh, I would agree. I've always felt this way. Like you just got to play as a team. I mean, from the almost, I'm sure day one of being here, I mean, I was talking about this passage, one of the first sermons I ever preached when I came to Eagleville Bible Church. And I just thought it was so important that, hey, you got to play as a team. I feel that way in marriage. I felt that way with my family. I'd always tell them all the time, you got to move as one, and that's how it works. I mean, plain and simple, that's how it works. You got to just work together, play together. And I think that when you're on a team, to me, a good team, you're going to listen to each other. So you tend to gravitate towards people who are going to work in that framework. Right. So you're going to tend to gravitate towards people that work within a framework of a team as opposed to people just off running and doing their own thing. So if you're on the worship team, let's say, and you got a guitar player, drummer, whoever, they're just kind of playing their own song. Well,
doesn't
you're not
work
going
too
to, yeah, you're not going to gravitate towards that. I mean, you're going to say, oh, okay, well, then let's get you in a position where you can play solos and people are stuff, because obviously you don't understand what this is. So I think teamwork is super hugely important. And I think it is, like you said, it's similar goals. I mean, you're just working towards common goals. You're working together. You know, whether my wife and I working together to pay for certain projects, or when we had our family together, hey guys, we're all going to work together and help each other get through college and pay those bills and stuff like that. Like, everyone was on board. Everyone understood it. So if there were sacrifices needed to be made, you kind of, no, everyone got that.
I mean, even you can still divide and conquer and still have unity.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, I was thinking about doing yard work with my wife earlier this year. It's like, all right, you start on this, I'll start over here. Whoever finishes first, you join the other person and help them out with that. I mean, sometimes it's like really beneficial. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is a 2-person job. Where like, I need another set of hands over here, you know, and trimming hedges or, you know, whatever it is or something like that.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, and there was a 1-person job when you got poison ivy so bad that time.
Oh, that was
tore all the poison ivy out, lit it on fire. Your face was
that was something.
That was pretty amazing, actually, bout with poison ivy. It's one of the worst I've ever seen.
That poison ivy was working in unity to drive me nuts. It just like all activated at the same time.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, actually. But no, I do agree with you can divide and conquer, because you have certain specialties, even in ministry. We do. I mean, I'm not running youth group. I mean, we're just on an overall and the whole bigger picture of the church. Yeah, we're working together, but obviously I have my certain things I do and you have certain things you do.
Right.
And, you know, that's just how it is. Or this weekend, I'll be doing a funeral and you guys are tied up doing other things, you know, too. So, I mean, that's kind of working together. If I was tied up doing other things, then one of you guys would be doing it, you know? So we just have to work together on that.
Different roles, all the same goals.
Yeah. There you go. No selfish ambition. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others better than yourselves. So again, that's got to be, you can't just drive your own point, or how I'd always say, you don't want to be always the loudest voice that's on something. You want to push together and hear and realize, well, no, what someone else thinks is important too. So you've got to work in, I like to get consensus and to work in, hey, as we have consensus on something, then we'll move forward. You can't always get it. I mean, you're not always going to get it. I mean, some decisions I think are looming. I'm like, am I ever going to get consensus on that? Eventually, you're going to have to make a decision. Like my wife and I one time on who would get the kids, we both died at the same time. It was a moot point. We always thought it'd be a moot point. It was a moot point. But we had to make a decision. Like we didn't agree on it, but I'm like, finally, I just had to give the lawyer something. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I realize there are some things, well, eventually we're just going to have to pick a color, and, you know, we got 10 different color ideas. Somebody's eventually going to have to pick a color. We're going to move forward. But typically, preferably, you'd all like to be landing right around that same color, right? I mean, if you're painting a bathroom or doing what you just did in a nursery, I don't know, maybe you didn't have any horse in that race, actually, but
because I don't care.
You don't care.
And I know that about myself.
And they picked a nice, described to me as neutral green.
Right.
So it did look nice. It's a pleasant color.
It's a light neutral green. When we first moved in, it was a darker neutral green.
Now it's a light. You know what? You want lighter. It's good.
Sure.
It's beautiful.
It's again, I really don't care, so I'm not going to be the loudest voice in this when I don't care. It's not important to me. It's important to other people. Okay, great. We'll do that.
Well, I think that's what you are looking for, right? The things that are important to the other person. Verse 4, you know, not looking to your own interest, but also to the interests of others. You know, I told my wife, we were having this conversation the other day, and she wasn't really, you know, happy with my blasé attitude about the bathroom tiling project. I'm not saying I don't have opinions. I'm not as passionate about it as she is. She's been thinking about this for years. She thought about it so much and so deeply, she didn't even really even tell me about it, but I heard it come out of her mouth that this is something I've been wanting to do for years and all this stuff. And so she said, I cannot believe that it is not more important to you about doing this bathroom. I said, why does it have to be? I said, I can't think of a better reason for me to be out looking at stuff and helping than you're interested in it. What does it matter? I don't go in. Listen, guys, it's a bathroom I go into a couple times a year. I don't see it. It's like, hey, we're going to tile the attic. Great. I'm not in the attic. You want to do it? Okay. I'm just not in that
Tile
bathroom.
the attic.
Hey,
Now
I'm
we're
not in that
getting to
bathroom.
it.
I'm not in there. I don't go in there. That's where my son and the other family members go. That's not where I go. So I don't spend any time in there. But anyway, I told her, I said, but it's important to you. So what does it matter? That's all I need to know. It's important to me because it's important to you.
Right.
I can't think of a better reason than that for me to go help and to give my input and to encourage along and be a part of it. And I've been a big part of it, this whole process. But
Good.
Yeah, I don't feel the same way about it. So not in love with it. I'm sure it'll look great. I'm just not. I'm not even apologizing, Jerry. Not.
When's this project supposed to be done?
I don't know.
Expected
Let's start with when does it start? It can't get done
Oh, boy.
until it starts.
We're not even there yet.
I would say this is what I heard. What date are we on right now? The guy who's going to do it right now, recording this on the 23rd of January. He said he's going to be done before February. So I would say, when is it going to start? I don't know. I would say maybe next week, possibly. So then my son has to go live with friends of ours because that's his bathroom. So yeah, I got to figure all this out. But anyway, we're getting there. And it's been nice. I was out with her yesterday. I was looking at stuff and gone plenty of time shopping with her and looked over things and researched things. And, I've done all kinds of things to participate in this process.
Good.
So yeah, that to me is being a teammate.
Absolutely.
Right. I don't have to be, if it's important to you, I feel as a spouse, if it's important to my spouse, it's important to me. If that's something you want, then I'm all for putting resources to it, making it the priority. I mean, how much have I made it the priority? I did not buy a truck for myself. Like I did not trade in my truck yet because I'm like, I am not trading in this truck. Those bathrooms done. Because I know what's going to happen to me if I do. No, I'm just kidding about that. It's not going to happen because I'm not into it. Like, no, this is my priority.
Right.
So,
right. I mean, having an order of operations is pretty key, I think, but also knowing like what is actually more important.
Right.
And as the Bible says, look to the interest of others, not yourself.
Well, I think that this is true in a lot of society right now. And one statement that was really pounded home by Rick Warren in The Purpose-Driven Life is not about you. And to me, that's one of the biggest things you can learn because a lot of people make pretty much everything that there is about them.
Right.
The world somehow revolves and they're the center star around which this universe is revolving. And that's just nonsense. It's not about me. It doesn't matter. I've always tried to look at church that way. It's not my church. Yeah, it's my church. I attend here. I'm the pastor here. I don't own it. I don't look at it like I own it. I don't look at it like it's only my opinion that matters. Like there's a lot of people who go here, right?
Yeah. So then we bring it back to how well the Cavaliers are doing. I mean, yeah, granted we're not NBA followers, but like there's no star player because no one's making it about themselves.
Right.
They're acting as a team, moving as one, and they're doing extremely well.
It's the only way that it actually works.
Isn't that something?
Well, hey, we've seen plenty of situations not like that, and it does.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be. You got to be thinking about the whole team. You can't be just thinking about yourself. That's a fact. So he brings in Jesus Christ, and he said, in your relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Jesus. And I appreciate that he uses Christ as an example. Hey, I'm talking to you guys about being unselfish, and here's an example from Jesus, who being in the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And furthermore, being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. And so when he's talking about the example of this and the influence of this, it's right there where, okay, look at what Jesus did. He didn't want to stay in splendor. He was willing to be a servant. So he goes from holy, 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 hearing that kind of stuff all day and being in splendor and beauty and perfection, and he comes down to this earth. And he goes from all the power, do any miracle he wants, anytime he wants. He comes in, he subjects himself to his Father, He becomes obedient, takes on humanity, suffers, dies. For who? Not for him.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, that was 100% for us. He did it unselfishly. I love that example. It's amazing.
Yeah, actually, that is a good way of painting the picture for sure. Even then, he didn't make it about him. He asked, if there's any other way, let this cup pass from me, right? For sure. But he also understood what he, signed up for or was getting into. Yeah. He also knew the why behind it as well. Right. I think that's key.
I know, but as soon as I would be hearing about that whip coming my way, I'd be thinking about that for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? By the time he gets there,
for sure.
Yeah, no, I would say that was just what he went through for us is absolutely, even death on a cross. Not only did he died on a cross. And we were talking, just recently just about the message. I believe it was our men's Bible study. And you're talking to a bunch of people who are into elevation, they're into status in the Corinthian church, or who's the best orator and all that stuff is really important to them. And they're trying to sell them on believing in a guy who was executed by the Roman government in a Roman colony. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine? I mean, being the first person, we've heard about it so many times. We grew up hearing about it. We don't probably think a thing about it. Of course, yeah, Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins, and we look at it, he died on the cross. But think about, wait. I'm looking to follow orators. I'm looking to follow famous people. It's very important to me, my status. And now I'm going to connect myself to a guy who got himself crucified on a cross. Think about that. I mean, you hear it for the first time. I'm like, his own government killed him.
Right.
Why would I be following that? Right. I mean, there had to be a stigma to that. I can't imagine there not being a stigma to that.
I'm even reading Mark right now. Chapter, I forget what chapter, 12, 13, 14, where they arrest him. And I'm reading it in the NLT. I don't know what the other versions say. He's like, "Why am I some dangerous revolutionary that you guys have to come arrest me in the middle of the night with this whole army and whatever?" It's just like, yeah, wow, what is what a threat that he was. So it's kind of interesting.
Well, I think darkness is where evil triumphs. And there's a reason they arrested the guy at night and tried him at night. Absolutely. For sure. But anyway, because of what he did and he humbled himself, therefore God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is the Lord to the glory of God the Father. Jesus humbled himself. Jesus Christ was exalted. And it's pretty stunning that it says that every tongue, hey, by the way, the one that was put on a cross, nailed there, crucified there by the Roman government, every tongue will acknowledge that he is the Lord. The Lord
absolutely
went to a cross. We can't take out the trash. We can't give up a night to serve in church. We can't do things that are unselfish and just put our will aside at times.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, I think that you have to, and if you don't, I don't see how you could ever understand life. I don't see how you could ever understand church if you don't put others first. If you don't understand that, hey, I'm just part of something bigger than myself, and there are times that I have to legitimately make sacrifices. It's not about my comfort. It's not about my convenience. It's not about what's easy. And sometimes, you hear the complaining or crying, oh, this was hard, that was hard. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people that put themselves through a lot of stuff to serve the Lord because they want to do something more than just binge watch on Netflix or something more than just hang out and do what they want to do. They do some of that stuff too, I'm sure, but they're still serving and they're helping out. And it always concerns me when there's Christians and they don't serve. They don't.
Can't be inconvenienced. Can't be. Honestly, I hate the whole I don't have time. Well, let's correct it. You don't make the time.
Right.
It's not priority. I see that far too often where it's like, oh, I don't have, no, you don't make the time.
Well, someday we're all going to stand before God. I mean, that day is going to happen. When that day happens, and I already question, have I done enough? Have I done, and not to get into heaven, I mean, just to make God happy. And you wonder about that. And to do nothing, to make no impact. I think my dad, we're talking about him, I guess I'll close with this, but there's something my brother, he just felt like, you know what, I should open Dad's Bible. I think there's going to be a message for me in there. I have no idea why he thinks it other than, God puts it in his mind. And then he finds somewhere, I assume it was written either on a piece of paper or it was written in the cover of the Bible, given by the guy to my dad by the guy who first discipled him, right, way back in the 60s. So there was some quote about obedience and being into the word, and this is what it is, and this is what it takes, and I'm dedicating my life and all that stuff. So Bob, my brother Bob, who read it, felt he needed to see it. So he sends this to me, my brother Mike, my brother Steve, my uncle Paul, and they're all just talking about my dad and talking about the impact that he made. And my uncle's like, your dad's the reason that, your aunt and I came to Christ was because of his influence in our lives. And my brother was just talking about, all my brothers were talking about what a great example he set of prayer and service and stuff like that. So
awesome.
I thought it was good because my dad's been dead for over 20 years. So I'm sure he would be happy that 20 plus years later, there's a group text going on around about him, just talking about how much he impacted.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't happen without selfless behavior.
100%.
It just doesn't. So anyway, we appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to share it. Tell your friends about it. However you want to pass this show along. You guys have a great and blessed week.